let's begin.
Namaste and welcome to Vani Speakers Academy, part 2 of the 4-part series of Jai, Chat and Speech presentations. I am Heena Solanki. Well, Heena Shah, as most of you know me. I don't have any specific designation within Sangh, but I help out wherever is required. I am part of Seva UK team and have recently joined the National Hindu Welfare Support Group. For tonight, like us, follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Vani Speakers Academy. Keep posting your comments for tonight on YouTube. So last week we heard Parashji Mistry and Sangeeta Ben Jabara talk about Bharat's contribution to the world and about their journey through Vani process. This was hosted by Harshji Harya, who was part of the first cohort. I too was part of the first cohort, and I can honestly say it was a very difficult journey, but hopefully I came out for the better. Having never heard the word congruency before, this was one word that was drilled into us throughout the whole course. I actually thought it was one of Sachinji's dictionary swallowed words when all he was trying to say was stand still. He's probably sitting at home somewhere and listening and rolling his eyes. But this one word actually fundamentally meant something to me. Once I actually understood the true essence meaning of this, it actually really helped me shape my speech and to deliver in the right method. So for those of you who don't know what congruency means, the speaker, you and I, all aspects of communication, the message, the body, the language, the tone, the energy, it all needs to align. You can have a great message, but if it isn't delivered in the correct form, no one will listen or remember your speech. We need to ensure that when we're delivering this speech, we are getting people to engage with their experiences, their memories, and they take away a message thinking, well, actually, I did know that, but actually, you know what? I remember Heena's speech. So it's really important that congruency in any public speaking is there. I actually recall my first speech and my first cohort will remember it really well. I actually felt like I was doing Garba and I was reading off my mobile and Sumitji and Sachinji soon put a stop to that. What was more so challenging was the cohort I was with, a group of friends through different streams I've known, and to all of us to be in one room to try and seriously deliver a message and without laughing was a very tough job. If you can deliver a speech amongst friends, you can deliver a speech anywhere. We delivered our speech in physical presence of an audience, a stage, a freedom to move around. Unfortunately, the second cohort did not have these luxuries, and it feels weird that he's saying they are luxuries when they were kind of basic things that we were engaging with. So I think they have had this challenge. I actually personally find that when I'm standing, when I'm giving this speech, I have more energy, and that the challenge, I feel that the second cohort had this as well, because we were all enclosed in this little screen, we can't move around, and so the energy is suppressed. So let me introduce tonight's first of the two speakers. Ajay Sohal, born and bred in Nottingham, UK's greatest city. Really, Ajay? Where he supports a local air cadet as first a cadet and now as a civilian instructor. Ajay is a campus coordinator for NHSF UK, supporting close to 50 university Hindu societies. Completed a master's in additive manufacturing and 3D printing from University of Nottingham. He did his undergrad in medical engineering in Swansea University. He enjoys hiking, flying, and gliding. Impressive bio, huh? For any mothers out there looking for the suitable boy. Hi, Ajay.
Namaste.
How are you feeling?
Really good. Thanks for that introduction. I'm sure my mother will be pleased.
Good. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Doing good. Excited
Nervous?
to finally, yeah, nervous, excited to finally deliver my final speech. All the
Yeah,
above. Mm.
great. So I just wanted to actually just dive in a bit about how's your journey been from when you started Vani to where we are now?
It's been an interesting journey. We started back in January, I think it was, when we first delivered our first speech to, again, a group of mostly friends, which was a bit strange. Then we did it live on a stage, which was great. Then all virtual. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it has been an incredible challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's strange to use this like tiny box that we're in to deliver a message when we're told to use our body language as our message.
Yeah, and I know in one or two of the obvious, we've actually tried to get you guys to stand, but if you're tall, that means you're that far apart, so that doesn't help either. So, so what was it that you found most difficult, apart from being going from physical to, online? What other challenges what did you find difficult?
What I found most difficult, probably actually thinking of ideas of what I actually wanted to talk about. Like for this speech that I'm doing now, it took me ages to think of an idea of like, yes, I definitely want to talk about this. I had vague ideas, but there's nothing that I felt passionate about or something I felt like I could connect to and really deliver a strong message.
Yeah, and so going on to your topic, what actually inspired you? Because I mean, there's hundreds and thousands of topics we could talk about, but what made you talk about this today?
I think a lot of it is to do with a lot of great leaders that I've seen in my time. I've had the pleasure of being a part of the Air Cadets, the National Hindu Students Forum. You see hundreds of leaders all the time, and I think it's those guys that tend to inspire me to do this.
Brilliant. So tonight's speech, what age group are we aiming for?
Some young professionals around the ages of 20 to 30.
Okay, great. So without further ado, let's now hear Ajay Sahal's with Oh Great Leaders.
Thank you. Oh, great leaders, thinkers, and decision speeders. Take a moment. No disruptions. Consider the impact of your actions. The sign shows 30, but you're doing 60. Who knows? It could have been a travesty. Think on the decisions you make, the actions you take. It's not meant to be easy. To act for all sounds cheesy. I once heard our leaders need new ideas. Maybe they could adopt some Dharmic ideas. Hit, meet, breathe could be something that you need. Allow me to sit here and plant the seed. You made your kingdom rise. To do it, another to fall. Hit. Was that really beneficial for all? But you've made it. Everything you could ever wanted. Life's calm. Meet. Did you try to minimize harm? I don't blame you though. We all like to follow the latest trends in fashion. Breathe. Maybe we could all show some more love and compassion. Oh, great leaders, consider the impact of your actions. The values of hit, meet, and breathe can transform your impact. Let me break it down and stick with me while I set the scene. This is a story about Shivaji and a series of decisions that he made and what sets him apart from the rest of the leaders at this time. Before the 17th century, during the 17th century, and after the 17th century, India had been ruled by a series of foreign invaders, from the likes of the Portuguese, the French, the English, and the Mughals. It's safe to say that the Indian people were a passive, weak, and repressed society. And this is where Shivaji comes in. He was strategic in his actions and had the conviction to see them through. Shivaji, with the Marathas, set out to liberate India from its invaders. They waged war and pushed back against the Mughals, expanded their territory by capturing a few forts. War is cold. War is bloody. Often when you push someone, they tend to push you back, and they push back a little harder. And that's what happened to Shivaji. He lost a battle with a great Mughal general and was placed under house arrest. There's a lesson to be learned there somewhere. But Shivaji escaped, and like the story, he carried on. But there was a problem. He was outmanned, outgunned, and had limited resources. He had to be a little creative. He thought, let me take a trip down to the coastal trading cities, because that's where I'll find the manpower, weapons, and resources that I need. Heck, my enemies are probably using those same cities. That's two birds with one stone. So what he used to do, at night, he used to swoop into the cities, raid them, and then escape to the jungle. Practically guerrilla warfare. But little by little, Shivaji started gaining the support of the people. He started gaining his manpower. He got his weapons and got the resources that he needed. Everything sounds great, except the traders didn't like it. See, the traders don't like war. It's bad for business. Who are you going to sell to when all your customers are dead? Some morbid humor. Needless to say, they betted on the bigger army and acted as spies for the Mughals. And as a result, a lot of people died. But Shivaji caught on, and he decided to go visit these traders. And he said to them, look, me and my army, we're going to that place there. If you betray us, we will come back. Oh, it's a chilling threat, but they had already betted on the bigger army. Day after day, battle after battle, Shivaji was starting to win, and he kept winning. He was pushing back against the Mughals. So what happened to our little trader friends? What they did was treason. Shivaji went back to them, and as punishment, he took all of their money. He left them with a little bit so they could live, which was unheard of at that time. It sounds like a pension. Oh, and he chopped off their hands. How dare you betray me? But that was it. He let them live. Other leaders at that time would have killed them. It was treason. And that's why the traders actually started to support the Marathas. I know what you're probably thinking. Ajay, that was a long story. And yes, it was. And you're probably also thinking, what happened to that hip, meet and breathe you were babbling about earlier? Did you just say them so you could rhyme? Don't worry, I got you. See, hip is a decision that is beneficial for all. Shivaji waged war. How on earth is that beneficial for all? But you have to remember, this is the 17th century. The decision to fight the invaders was beneficial to the Indian people. The land and its people were being exploited. Even by today's standard, we frown upon foreign occupation. Meat. a decision that minimizes harm. Not no harm, minimizes it. You must have heard the song by Edwin Starr, War, and sing along if you know the words. War, huh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Yes, in the short term, war is bad. But in the long term, the society can flourish under a new rule. Breed, a decision that acts with love and compassion. Instead of killing the traders, Shivaji chose to give them a pension and chopped off their hands. Whoa, 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 whoa. Chopping off hands? How is that compassion? What are you talking about, Ajay? I hear you cry. Remember the context. Remember the situation. There are no such thing as prisons. It is an eye for an eye. It is kill or be killed. What Shivaji did was kind. He let them live with their families and loved ones. Shivaji is revered as one of India's greatest leaders. And I use this example to show hit, meet, and breed because the setting is in a completely different world to the one in which we live in today. We live in a world where we're currently in a national lockdown and nobody seems to be happy. We live in a world where some unnamed leaders choose not to wear masks, although I hear no longer in power. We live in a world where our university students are being blamed for spreading a virus because of a decision made by decision makers. No decision is easy. No decision will be perfect, but we can make them a little bit better with HIP. A decision that is beneficial for all. Meet. A decision that minimizes harm. And breed. A decision that acts with love and compassion. Oh, great leaders, thinkers, and decision speeders. Take a moment. No disruptions. Consider the impact of your actions. Dhanyavad.
Wow, Ajay, that was absolutely amazing. You've really, you've taken me by surprise with your speech. When I actually met you, I don't actually really know you that well, but when I did meet you at one of the only physical abhyasags we got together, you were very reserved in your own space, and what you've delivered today, it's totally different. Totally different. And
that was the idea. Yeah, that was the idea. I wanted to do something that was completely different to what I've done before and challenge myself. Like, this is the only opportunity where I can. So it makes sense.
I thought I was the dramatic one, but you've pushed the boat.
Someone has to fight, right?
No, it's brilliant. And in terms of your content, it's amazing. So that research and how to put this whole together to engage the crowd, I mean, that could have taken some time as well.
Yeah, it took some time.
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. Well done, well done. So thank you. Don't go away. So for tonight, if you are watching us, please watch us, get other people involved. Remember to keep posting on Vani's Speech Academy on YouTube, and we will be taking all your questions a bit later on. So, second speaker for tonight is Bansri Lakhani. Bansri Lakhani, ophthalmology surgeon and eye surgeon, worked in NGOs in Ahmedabad, Aurangabad for 6 months before starting Youth for Seva, ex-national coordinator for Youth for Seva. Currently, she's studying as on a master's program for medical leadership. Hi, Bansri.
Namaste.
Namaste. How are you?
Yeah, really excited to be finally delivering this masterpiece that we've been working on for what seems like forever.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you because you messaged saying you might be late from work, and I was like going, no, we don't need that today.
Yeah, I talk a lot about my work, and I'll be doing that a little bit later on too.
Brilliant, brilliant. Just to set the scene, I mean, how was your journey through Vani?
Yeah, I think it was a big roller coaster. I remember at the first Abhyasvarg, Sumitji recording us, giving our very first speeches, and then us watching it back in silence, and just watching our body language and, you know, that word that you mentioned, congruency, just seeing how incongruent we were at the time. And then I remember doing these jam sessions with Raj Shekharji, and we were just like, every time we did it, we got a little bit better, And I think that all of us as a group, we've really developed the way that we speak and the way that we come across. And even with the challenges of being virtual, I think we've all come a really long way.
Yeah. I mean, apart from going from physical to online, what was the main challenge did you find? Was it because Vani, I felt it definitely put me out of my comfort zone.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, Heena. So one of the biggest challenges was I'm really used to writing everything down. You know, if I listen to something that I think is interesting, I'll write it down, or if I have a whole list in my head, I'll write it down. So when I started making my speeches, I would like write absolutely everything down. And I remember, everybody from B1 saying, whatever you do, don't write it down. And, it was only when it got to this final speech that it really hit home that it's much easier if you don't write things down and you just, start speaking, see what comes to mind. And then when you've got a few good points, perhaps you can jot them down, but at least that way you don't have your whole speech scripted. So this is probably the thing I found the hardest, to be honest, just moving away from something I was used to doing.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with you with that. First, I was moving around so much without a purpose. The thing was stay rooted as a tree. And then the second challenge I had was because I wanted the speech so perfect, I wrote it all down. And then you're trying not to miss that word, or you want to get that particular message across, that you actually forget then your congruency. So that was the whole point, that yes, do not write your you can have notes, but don't write your speech down.
Yeah, it's so important. And I think I pretty much ignored everyone every time they told us that until literally this weekend. And I was like, oh yeah, scrap the speech. Let's just talk.
Awesome. What inspired you with this topic?
So to be honest, out of the list of topics we were given, this was the best one.
Okay.
That was the first reason. And secondly, the things that you mentioned that I've been studying on a master's, which involves talking about leadership. I've been doing a lot of research on what leadership involves and changing cultures of organizations. And when I was reflecting on this, I was thinking that, we're really fortunate in Sangh to be surrounded by inspirational individuals and a culture that really helps us flourish. And I think this is something I'm really passionate about, and I talk about it all the time. So I thought, why not put it into a speech?
Why not? Yeah, absolutely amazing. So tonight's speech, can we just find out what age group you're aiming at?
So it's for young working professionals, people who haven't quite gone grey yet. So people who are working, people who are leading organizations, trying to bring about change.
Awesome. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hear Bansri Lakhani with Dharmic Leadership.
Dharmic leadership is sustainable leadership. Can you think of someone who inspires you? What's their name? Think back to when you first met them. And how do they make you feel? Which of their qualities do you want to develop in yourself? And what is it about them that draws you into them? These inspiring individuals and leaders, they have many characteristics in common. And 3 of these I want to share my thoughts with you today. Culture, integrity, and feedback. I believe that these 3 are the key pillars of dharmic leadership. As a doctor, the organization that I work for, it has endless rules. There's a rule about pretty much everything, from when you need to take your break to how long that break should be. You probably won't believe this, but we actually have a policy where we have to give 2 months' notice to take a single day off work. And guess what? When someone makes a mistake or something goes wrong, they bring out another rule or another policy. Now imagine, just for a moment, that you worked for an organization with no rules, where there was a culture of freedom, and you were free to choose between flying business class or flying economy for a work trip, where you had free reign over your expense account, and you could decide when and how long to go on holiday for. You're probably thinking that in reality, no companies like this exist. And if they do, then there's no way that they would succeed in the real world. Well, how many of you have Netflix? I'm sure all of us use Netflix, whether we pay for it or not. And I believe that this company's culture is an example of dharmic leadership. Individuals can just check with their team members that there's enough cover before they book a holiday. If they're flying overnight and they've got a long haul flight with an early morning meeting, they might decide to fly business class. And if it's just a short flight, they could choose to fly economy. And before they choose to do something or before they make a decision, they ask themselves, is this in the best interest of my company? This culture of freedom and responsibility, it focuses on individual development. It empowers individuals to make choices, and it encourages them to be responsible for their decisions. This culture, it nurtures innovation and creativity, and individuals are ultimately accountable for the consequences of their choices. In this culture of freedom, where there are no rules and there's no control, dharmic leadership, it rests on the shoulders of individual integrity. A few weeks ago, I was at my master's course on leadership, and on this course, there's maybe 15, 20 doctors from all across England, and we all hold positions of responsibility of various levels. And one of the tasks that we were given was to rank a list of values in order of importance to us as individuals. These values, they included things like teamwork and compassion and honesty. There were things like money and ambition and success. And it was a really interesting exercise, thinking about which of these values are most important to us as individuals. After having made this list, we were asked to rank them again. But this time, in order of importance to the organization that we work for. And surprisingly, after making these 2 lists, all of us looked at them and we found that there was very little in common. I've worked for this organization for most of my adult life, and actually my values really don't reflect the values that my whole organization holds important. At the top of my list, I had kindness and honesty, and these fell quite far down the organization's list. So that evening, as I drove home, I started to think, how many of these small sacrifices of personal values do we make on a daily basis for something that we consider to be important? And what impact does this separation of values have on us as individuals and our well-being? If we think back to those individuals who inspire us, there's one thing that they all have in common. That's integrity. They lead their lives with integrity. Their thoughts, their values, their actions, they're aligned. And as we work on narrowing that gap between our beliefs and our values and the way that we live, be it the organization that we choose to work for, or our lifestyle choices, or even the company that we keep, as we become more congruent, we'll develop this sense of personal integrity and will strengthen our characters. The final key piece of dharmic leadership is giving and receiving feedback. I think that this is the part that's probably the most overlooked. How many of you have had a speeding ticket? This is the time to type yes in the comments box. So for those of you who know me well, you'll know that I'm an excellent driver and I've only ever had maybe one speeding ticket in my life. And all of us, whether we drive or not, we would have seen those happy and sad faces on the displays as we go around town. Recently, I was reading a story about how these speed displays came about, and I thought it would be really great to share that with you. There was a town south of Los Angeles where they had an increasing rate of accidents between pedestrians and cars. And they had tried everything they could think of to try and get these drivers to slow down. They tried fines, speeding tickets, speed awareness courses. They'd even tried jail time, but nothing had worked. And eventually they got so frustrated that they just scrapped all these punishments and they tried something completely new. So they came up with this idea of a dynamic feedback display where there's a speed monitor and a display, and this display shows the driver how fast or slow they're going, along with a happy or a sad face. And what they found was that this display that gave instant feedback to the drivers managed to reduce the speeding by 20%. Now, this is incredible, and it's because when you and I are driving around and we see that sad face, our instinct is to slow down. This is a great example of how powerful that feedback loop is. When I do something or give a speech at Vani or do something at work, getting feedback on how I'm doing and things that I could do differently helps me change, helps me grow, helps me flourish. And it means the next time I do it, I'll be better. So this giving and receiving of feedback helps me grow, helps you grow, helps us grow. So going forward, let's work on developing this culture of freedom and responsibility, which empowers individuals to make choices and be responsible for their decisions. Let's nurture creativity, innovation, and ideas. And let's work on narrowing that gap between our beliefs and the way that we live. Let's develop our sense of personal integrity. And finally, let's be open to giving as well as receiving feedback that helps us all flourish. The next time you're in a position of leadership, or you're thinking about how to drive change, whether that's at home or in the organization that you work for. Remember, culture, integrity, and feedback. Namaste.
How did that feel, Bansri?
Oh, it was good.
Yeah. Was it different from your written out speech?
Yeah, it was very different. I don't think I was sure if I'd confessed to the amount of speeding tickets I've got, but I think in the end, I've only got one, of course.
That was actually really engaging. And again, I've seen you as well on stage, and you've come across very differently today, and it's for the better, and it's been brilliant.
Yeah, I think practice makes all the difference. I think in the lead up to our Abhyasvargs, perhaps we weren't so dedicated to our practice, but I think in the days before the Samarop, we've all been practicing and rehearsing and sitting straight.
Yeah,
I think practicing does really make all the difference.
Yeah, and it's a very valid point, because a lot of people, they know the subject and they know they have to deliver a speech, but then they come right up to the 11th hour before, going on stage, because they get too confident and then they don't realize who the audience is. Oh no, we don't have a stage where I'm standing. So that little practice, little bit of knowledge of who you're delivering to, it actually makes a big difference.
Yeah, when I first started, actually, I was asked what age group I'd be delivering to. And I was thinking maybe like 18 plus, or young adults, maybe NHSF, university age. But I think because I'm so passionate about culture within organizations and driving change, that actually a better age group, a better target age group, is people who are, working for an organization and see this culture of rules and control around them and want to make a change.
No, brilliant. So if we can have Ajay back in, and we've got a couple of questions that have come in for both of you and each of you. So if we can have Ajay back in. Ajay, can you hear us? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. So to give Bansri a little break, we'll start with you. And there's been a lot of positive comments about your speech, and a lot of people didn't know about Shivaji, and they're really inspired. And is there going to be a part 2?
Maybe. If there's enough demand, there'll be a part 2 right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're preparing for a topic like leadership, where do you draw inspiration? Is it a particular person or a moment you recall? Because when we're trying to deliver a speech, we're talking about experience, we're talking about memories, knowledge, emotion, and it all becomes alive. So where did you draw your inspiration from?
So all my experience from leadership would come from the air cadets themselves. So I spent a lot of time there, started when I was 14 to still now as a member of staff. And that's the place where I learned about leadership qualities, and who is a good leader. And in a sense, what is Dharmic leadership? In a slight sense. I learned it more later on, but that was the first time point. That's where I first recall my experiences there.
Yeah. But Bansri, the same question?
I've spent so much time reading about leadership, and one of my favorite books is one called Extreme Ownership. It's about a Navy SEALs team that were based in Iraq, in Ramadi. And for anybody who wants to read about great leadership and taking ownership, this is my absolute #1 recommendation. It takes you through Iraq and the war and the challenges, and how leaders and leading from wherever you are in that team, whether you're from the front or a team member, can really make a difference.
All right, nice. So there's another question that's come in, is how much practice is too much? Does it become like rehearsed, or does it become too many times, or does it become easier when you know your content well?
That's an interesting one. I'd say no, there isn't such a thing as too much practice, and it doesn't become rehearsed, because when you're not writing your own script, like Bansri is saying, don't write the script, and when you're just flowing and just going at it, you spend less time worrying about the content than more about your delivery, because your delivery can change all the time. Even if I did the speech again, it would be different to what I've just done, and we'll just keep refining it and keep going and going and going. You know.
Yeah. Bansri, your Netflix, wow, I didn't know that you can take so much holidays like you. What does that say about leadership? Is it blind trust?
I don't think so, Heena Ben. You know, I think if you think about the company you used to work for, or nobody likes to be micromanaged. You know, nobody likes to be told, you know, exactly how long your holiday can be or when you have to take it. No, I think if you are an individual who wants to be the best version of yourself at work or in your organization, then you'll naturally do the best for that organization. And, you know, you won't take half the year off. Now, we might think we would take the half the year off, but we wouldn't. We would do our best, whether it's at work or the organization, and then just take our holidays as we would need. You know, with Netflix, they actually found that their employees didn't take more holiday. So I think that's the thing. If we nurture individuals and give them choice and don't try and make rules, then it brings out the best in people.
No, yeah, no, it's absolutely true, absolutely true. Another question that's just come in is, what is the process to prepare for this kind of speech? Sometimes it's easy to go off on a tangent, and I've done that many a times, and miss the actual point. How can you rein this all in? Ajay, Bansri, you go. Yeah.
One of the things that we were taught in Vani was to start with a beginning and have an end, and in between have 3 stories. And that's a really great way to structure. So once you know what you want to talk about, think about how you want to start your speech, and think about your final message that you want to give at the end as well. And then you could play with the middle, you know, have 3 different stories that show examples, or maybe 1 story. But I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah,
Ajay?
similar. I think I started this one with what my message was. I wanted to be clear on what I was delivering, and then I just found a story that fitted in. It wasn't I had a story first and then trying to mold speech around it. It was message first, know what I want to say, then find a story that fits in, and obviously do your research.
Nice. This next comment, I guess, is for me, right? It's a great facilitation by Heena Ben that you should start my own coffee with the Heena show. Watch this space. Watch this space, such a. But guys, so it's Diwali week. Different. So what is your message? And I'm going to put you on the spot now. 1-minute message from each of you to all the viewers for Diwali this year. Bansri?
It's Diwali. I'm so excited. You know, I think that no matter what is happening, lockdown, no lockdown, nobody can take the spirit of Diwali from us. So just enjoy it. You know, spend time with your loved ones. Reflect on the last year, its challenges. Think about the ways in which you want to grow as an individual. Think about the ways in which you want to give more to our samaj, our community. Think and reflect about the way you want to grow and what change you want to see in the world. And enjoy the celebrations. Enjoy the vegan mithai.
Oh yes.
I know I'll be doing that for sure.
Yes, Ajay.
Copy paste what Bansri just said and just do it again. Same thing.
No,
not going to work. I'd say this year has been challenging for a lot of people and a lot of different reasons. And one of the things we must attest to in our Samaj, our culture, is that we always persevere, and we will do so again. Diwali might be cancelled, but it's not. The spirit's still alive. We can still celebrate with our families. We can still make mithai. we can still make the food and share it out. So I wouldn't worry about anything. Just have a good time, keep safe, wash your hands and all that good stuff.
Nice, brilliant. And for the audience out there, no one's going anywhere, so you have time to prepare a 5-minute speech of what Diwali means to you. Do submit to us at Vani. It's been a great Samarop. Thank you to Bansri, Lakhani and to Ajay, Sohal, for an amazing speech to Dharmic Leadership. So for next week, we have this part 3 of the 4 of Vani. So we're going to have, again, same time, same place, on the 18th of November. Is life shaped by actions and destiny? This is going to be hosted by Pavni Lakhani, and it's by Kirti Bhagat. So make sure you tune in, keep liking us, keep sharing us, keep following us, and see you next week. Namaste.